And we're live. We are back. This is Monday. This is Uncuffed. And this is not Eric Tanzi. This is the dead man. Tanzi turned 29 last week. Last Thursday was his 29th birthday. He turned 29. I'm waiting for some audio to come blast my ear. There we go. So he turned 29 last week, and his family took him on a vacation. They went to see some baseball stuff in Pittsburgh, and he is coming back today. But seeing how his studio, the studio that Uncuffed is recorded in, is at his house. That means Margaret and Jay don't have a place to podcast from today to give you guys Uncuffed. So for a birthday present, you have me and you'll have the wonderful Jason Kiefer. And guess what? The weekend did not disappoint. We have more than a few things to talk about. There was some baseball, the weather, and we may or may not have a president. I don't know.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Ooh, guns up, giddy up. This is always weird when I'm doing it and Eric's not around, because it's so much easier to sit back and push buttons and watch him do all this and just listen, because I can kind of lead into and kind of feel what he's going to come up for next. But when I'm doing it all on my own, it's really hard to put out my next thought, because it is my next thought. So today, it's not just going to be me. I have Jason Kiefer from Walmart. I'm out of here. Illegal Shift. We do have a fire show on Patreon that we need to kind of maybe figure out what we're going to do with.
Facts.
Jason.
And you're not alone.
Yep. We've had, so if you've messaged me or Mrs. Keefe about down the poll, we haven't talked. I'm going to be straight up. We haven't talked. And that's good. I'll fall on the sword in that. That'll be on me. I will do what the Secret Service cannot. I will take responsibility for something that we should have done, and I haven't done it. I've dropped the ball on that. We've been super busy. I'm not sure if you noticed that the network expanded a little bit with Two Cops, One Donut Shop, Factor Meals isn't it? The podcast Anti-Hero. One more might be coming under. So like we've been busy behind the scenes, and I'm more of a behind the scenes guy anyway. So I'm trying to allocate some time and move some stuff around. So I've got more time freed up to help Keith do one more. But Keith, man, it's been a while, buddy. How have you been?
Good. Hanging in there. I appreciate your transparency of falling on the sword. I will yield my time since you've already fell on the sword. Although it's probably just as much my fault as well. But yeah, it's been busy. Got back into town yesterday. Had a Warthog Police and Fire Bike Club that I'm in. We had a big event up in just outside Detroit. So we group of cops and firemen that raise money for people that are hurt or have passed away. So we had like 850 of us. A whole bunch of debauchery all weekend.
How many tickets did they get?
0.
800 bikes and no tickets?
No tickets.
Man,
there was a bike stolen.
Well, there's that. Because you guys were in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's that. So Detroit didn't pass up that, and some state troopers dropped the ball, like 800 balls.
I do want to throw a shout out to one of our guys. So we all left Michigan yesterday and we headed back to Cincinnati. Well, then there were 2 out of town guys that we didn't know were coming into Cincinnati for Slash was going to be having a concert. Well, apparently he canceled it, and they were riding. One of the guys went down. So after I got back, getting ready to get into a shower, I get a phone call that we had somebody down that was an out of towner down, and arranged to get his bike on a trailer. Got it right out in the driveway. Currently, he's healing, a little bit messed up, but that's what we do. We take care of each other. We reach out, and so we'll arrange to get his bike back up to New York at some point somehow, and then make sure he's good to go first. But anybody that I talked up failure to stop the whole time I was up there. One more and I'm out of here. While I was up there, I think we got some good stuff coming down from these guys, because a lot of them are former military, like I said, police, firemen. So I got some good stuff coming up here real soon. But we're thinking about our dude. I won't throw his name out there because it doesn't matter. But he knows who he is, and the people that know that he went down know who he is. But he seems like he's healing well, so that's good.
So do you want to just get into this? Because I would say we predicted it, but we damn near wrote the book, published it, sent it out there, got John there to do some pictures, and then talked about it for a couple of years. Then the book actually happened. Then it got, like we called this. How did anyone like in the media or anybody else see this from 1,000 miles away? Now that, did Biden actually write the letter?
I've been seeing a bunch of stuff today because obviously I was on the bike yesterday, but catching up, on all the stuff, and everything that I'm seeing is like who wrote it better was the greatest tagline I've seen.
Yeah, because if you go back, you could Google search yourself. Just while you're listening to this right now, pull up your phone and go to another tab and pull up some Google Joe Biden's signatures. Tell me if you've ever seen him underline his last name. Ever. And then this one massive, like life-changing announcement. We're going to do it now. Not only that, some people in the chats are posing the question, where is he? Where is Joe Biden? Did he write the letter? Because if this is something that, this is pretty big. This isn't, hey, man, I haven't figured out what we're going to do for dinner yet. It's not an announcement like that. Or it's not like, hey, we got a new dog. It's not an announcement like that. Or even, hey, we're buying a house. It's not even an announcement like that. It's, hey, I'm not going to do the thing that we have campaigned on and took millions and millions of dollars on. And we just beat this horse to no end and said that I'm going to be here. And then all of a sudden, I'm just going to say, I'm going to bow out. And not only that, we're going to just get rid of all of the natural processes that we've had, the constitutional processes that we've had. Because had we had the debates with the Democrats, I don't think he'd been there. RFK would have been there. But do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at it, he campaigned from a freaking basement. So you can't, on camera, you can't bow out on camera. I know you're sick. Okay, you're mending, you're healing. But you can't, set up a camera and say it to the people versus, I mean, it's like in high school, breaking up with a girlfriend, not having the balls to do it to her face. You fold up a little paper football and flick it to her and say, hey, guess what? I think we're done. I mean, I'm so utterly, I want to say I'm confused because I am, because this is just not, I'll say it manly, doing the man thing.
Presidential
Thing, even better. I mean, what are we doing now? But I'm not shocked either.
And then his team is coming out and saying that they found out about it on Twitter. That screams united front. That screams we are all on the same page of music. We're riding with Biden. Well, we're not riding with Biden. We're chain gang with Kamala, because that's something I'm going to try to. That has no ring to it. But she. So here's where I stand on her. Okay, you're not going to get me to buy in with the support for her for two reasons. One, the chain gang stuff in California that she said that I had no idea that was going. You cannot be the boss and not know what's going on. If you're going to say that, you're going to come out and say, hey, I didn't know what was going on. And also the people that were doing that behind my back, they've been removed. We got rid of them. Because if not, then it looks like you got caught for doing something because they wanted to keep people incarcerated past what new California laws passed, and they were supposed to let these people out. Well, she was quoted specifically saying that this will be a dent on our labor force. So we want to keep prisoners in prison for longer than we have required by law because we want labor to take out forest fires. So there's number one reason why I'm not a big fan of Kamala Harris. Number two, during all the riots, during the George Floyd riots, don't call them protests. If you burn a building down, it is a riot. If people got hurt and killed, it is a riot, period. So while doing that, while people were being arrested and held responsible for the crimes that they had committed, she, the vice president, whatever she is now, she went out and put her name out there to try to raise money for bail money for people breaking the law. The previous president or whoever was running the shots behind the scenes, They've opened the border and they don't care about anybody that's coming in. They don't care about you, the taxpayer, unless you stop paying taxes because you got to make your $600. We want to get on that because we be on that. But we don't care about all these people coming in. And then we're going to take your tax money, send billions over to Ukraine and billions over to Israel. And then if you are going to raise money, we're going to raise money for people that are criminals, that are breaking the law, that are literally burning your city down. We want to keep those people on the streets. We want to keep them, put a lighter in everybody's hand and a Molotov cocktail in the other. That's who you want to run the country?
Well, let's not forget, let's bus them in. Let's bus them in from anywhere and everywhere outside of the city that's actually being affected. But I need her email address and all that, because with all the money that she raised for bail and stuff, I mean, I'm a broke fireman, so I want some money. So maybe she can set up a GoFundMe for me. I don't know.
So I have a question for one. I'm not a Democrat. I'll put that out there. I'm not a Democrat. And you could say I'm a Republican, but I'm a more down the center of the line. I'm a more common sense. If that's a party that we can start and get behind, I'll get behind the common sense party. But like, this is what you have to put out there. And not only that, so as a Democrat, if you're a Democrat in the last, we'll just call it 6 months, 3.5 years, but we'll call it the last 6 months, because that's when you started beating the drums a little bit harder to get those fundraisings up. Let's say in the last 6 months, you donated $1,000, $1,500. You were like, man, I really want behind this. I really want, and the person that you donated it for just said, hey, I'm not going to accept that. Do you get a refund?
I was going to say, where's that money go?
Is that not fraud?
The way I understand it, and not super, super political. I mean, obviously, being on One More with Dan, I've learned a ton more, as a 44-year-old man than I knew before. But does that go just to the party, or does that go to him? Because now, if she does get the nomination, does that money go to her? I have no idea how that works. But you want to talk? I mean, we have a hard enough time with checks and balances as it is. So who's monitoring that freaking bank account or checkbook?
Not only that, or can anyone just open your front door, take it out, listen to the pulse of the country right now? They're not going to win. There's no way they're going to win. So here,
I love that they're all scrambling too. They're scrambling on who's it going to be.
So we'll go ahead and let this is going to get demonetized probably. It might even get unlisted or taken down. But let's just take this step back.
I've been there before.
So we'll go back. That's kind of like a daily basis for us now.
Yeah.
We'll go back a little bit to the last election. You have these polls leading up to the election. You have all of this stuff that the media, there's a narrative. There's a clear, decisive narrative that Joe Biden this is who it is. Riding with Biden, Kamala. We're going to ride this train. So then we're going to do all of the COVID stuff happens, and we're going to do all the mail-in ballots. We're going to do all of that stuff. All of that happens. So you've got some poll numbers that kind of support what's going on. Then in the middle of the night, I'm going to bring up this graphic. This will be what gets us taken down. This happened. So we all remember this. The votes come in the middle of the night, and a few of the key states that they needed the win, and then they won those key spaces. Miraculously, they push people out, start counting in the middle of the night. Think about all these suits, and everything has been thrown out. It's been thrown out on merit. It's thrown out on standing, not standing on merit. And there's a difference. It's saying that I didn't file the paperwork in time versus you didn't commit the crime. Those are two different things. One, I didn't file the paperwork in time. And two, the crime actually was potentially there. We just didn't do the paperwork in time. So they're saying that they didn't do paperwork in time. So you've got all of that so we could push the last election through, and it happened. Okay. 2 weeks ago, they just tried to kill Donald Trump. I say they. You could put whoever you want in that they position, but somebody tried to kill Donald Trump. The person physically that pulled the trigger, he's dead. But we're finding that he had multiple cell phones now, and then maybe the rifle was left there, and there was a different ladder. And does the Secret Service have a thing on slopes? Do they not have a thing on slopes? Can we put him on the roof? Can we not put him on the roof? Was the roof hot? Were the Secret Service there for the staging? Somebody tried to kill him, and it didn't happen. Okay. So now shit has hit the fan because the plan didn't go as planned. So now the next thing that comes out is there's no way that Joe Biden is going to get to leave or step down unless there's a medical emergency. The medical event's the only reason he's going to step down. That's what's going to happen. The same afternoon, they put out that he's got COVID. We've not seen him since then.
Yeah.
He's come out of airplane one time, and that's what they used to debunk all of this stuff, that he's not having this medical. Well, they're saying that he's okay, but he said he had COVID. And then the next video that comes out is him leaving on the aircraft, and then we've not seen him since. So now there's no way that the entire country's seen what they've seen happen. They've seen the RNC happen. And this speech, when he said that he was going to give a different speech, I was trying to think of how's he going to come out? Is he going to come out with the Hulk Hogan speech? Is he come out with Kid Rock speech? Does he come out with a little presidential speech? That wasn't a dividing speech. That was a uniting speech. Yeah. That wasn't a let's throw blame at this. This was because he said, and he explained that if half the country votes one way, half the country votes the other way, the majority of the country votes one way, he still represents everybody. So right now, I don't know where he is, but Joe Biden is the standing president. He's still my president right now. Do I like it? No, not one bit, but he's still the president right now. So you got to go through all of this. So now you go up to where we're at now. There's no way that you're going to get mail-in ballots. There's absolutely no way in any poll everywhere. As soon as the assassination attempt happened before the RNC, everybody, CNN and MSNBC, everybody's got their polls out saying that there's no way. They got to pull out. 7 days later, now the entire 7 days, mind you, he's not sick. He's fine. Nothing's going on. Then we're going to pull out and say, hey, I'm not going to accept the nomination. Whether it was his signature, did he write it? Did he not write it? Because his staff is learning about it on Twitter. Tell me where I'm getting to the point where this sounds like unifying. This sounds like they've got their plans together. Like things are falling in line. Tell me when we get to that part. So now he sends out this letter, and within a few hours, he sends out another tweet, says he's going to endorse Kamala Harris. Well, the democratic process is completely different. You can't just say, hey, I don't want to do it, and this is who I want to do it instead. We have processes for that. Right. Had we gone through the actual processes, RFK would be the Democratic nominee, but he's not. He's running as an independent. So here you've got a couple months. How are you going to get any support behind whoever going to throw in that spot? Not only that, who's running the country? Because as we have alluded to, I'm not going to pull up. This is going to be really, really small. I'm not sure how much bigger I can get it without. We'll do that.
There you go.
So this is from Charlie Kirk. I'll read it. Got a weird lead on a story that people should look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro. The official story that was Joe Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to the source, the United States Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro Police that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so the POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, where they would begin to do in earnest. Then, mysteriously, there was a stand-down order. Secret Service informed local PD that they were going to do a medevac POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presumed meant fly him back ASAP. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or possibly already dead. I didn't think too much about the lead, seemed too wild to be true, but given that Joe Biden has been out of the public sight for several days, he's dropped out of the race via X on an X post, and his brother James indicated his health was a factor, I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more seriously reported. If anyone within the Las Vegas Metro has any information, please email freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to hear if there's any more to this official story. So what he's alluding to earlier is Laura Loomer. She's I take everything that she does with a grain of salt, because
anymore you have to take all of it with a grain of salt until you figure it out. So I find that interesting. I don't completely discount it, but until we have more, I mean, it's hard to hang your hat on it, but I wouldn't be surprised with the way that this Democratic Party and his whole regime of people. That would not surprise me in the slightest.
I don't know, because who's her vice president? Here, that's a good question. Who's she going to put in that spot? She can't put herself.
Well, everybody's vying. Everybody's vying right now. I just heard it, before we did one more earlier, that Andy Bashir from right across the river in Kentucky said, "Oh, well, now, I endorse her, and yeah, I might throw my hat in the ring for VP." Because now at this point, all these lower level, and I say lower level only because they weren't really even considered for anything until now. You have all these lower level, politicians that it's a fucking feeding frenzy. It's like throwing chum in the water and all the sharks come to the top at that point.
I want to acknowledge a question in chat. Acknowledge a few people in chat. We have Uranus. Fuck around and find out. Armory Knight, Will Craig, Jill Billy. I think I've seen David
Never
in there. Armory said that Speaker House will come up next. That would be if Joe Biden isn't the president right now. That's who would the line of succession. But are we getting to the line of succession, or do we enact the 25th? Because
I've heard rumor that that's already started. That process has already started.
Yep, I seen that there was a couple people that were supposed to file up some paperwork today about that. But then you've also got the Senate hearings with the Secret Service. I'm going to play. This is coming to us from Fox. So Fox, I'm going to give you as much credit as I can. We'll try to credit you in the description. Please don't try to demonetize it. I want to try to play this in its entirety because we're going to stop probably a little bit. Would tell me when you want to stop, but it's like a 5-minute go back and forth between a senator and the director of the Secret Service. And they're talking about the assassination attempt. You ready?
Let's do it.
Goodwin yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Fallon from Texas.
How did a 20-year-old loner with a week's notice
I love this dude.
pick the absolute best
This is
location to
amazing.
assassinate President Trump when the entire Secret Service missed it? Director Cheadle, in your leadership, your agency got outsmarted and outmaneuvered by a 20-year-old. How can we have any confidence that you could stop trained professionals from a nefarious nation state?
Those are absolutely questions that we need to have
I know they're
answers
questions,
to.
but the fact of the matter is we can't have that confidence. Director, do you have the ability personally, and do you have the authority to beef up security of any of your protectees?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So were you also aware there was a credible threat President Trump was facing? He was facing a heightened security threat to a foreign adversary?
Yes.
Okay. So given that there was an increased threat to President Trump's life, was he provided a full security complement akin to what a sitting U.S. president would receive?
He was provided a full complement of security.
Can you
based
stop it for
on
a second?
The threat assessment.
So
Yep.
she's saying he's provided a full complement. Doesn't say what it was, right? So, and I had said this on one more earlier. Mayorkas a couple weeks ago, like right after this happened, denied, and he said unequivocally false information that the Trump camp was refused more people. It's already come out that on paper that was refuted. They didn't give him anything more than what he already had. They knew that he needed more, and that son of a bitch has lied the whole time he's been in the position that he's in. You can go ahead and hit play.
Well, that's because Joe Biden was in the same state on the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with this whatsoever. So, and the other thing, what she's alluding to, so she can answer some questions to a certain specific, but at some point, there's still the Secret Service, and there is still some level of national security that comes behind some of this. But the reason why the people that are asking these questions are asking extremely very specific pinpoint questions is because we've worked in those fields and know those are the questions that we would have asked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. If we have a known threat, because she's going to say it's based off of the threat assessment. Well, if we know that there's a threat and we know that there's things, because I don't want to get too far ahead of where he lays out the groundwork for her to just stumble over her words so good here. But if we know that there's a threat, we provide extra assets there. We know that something's going to be there, or if we know that there's another building that's there, we provide extra snipers, we provide extra coverage. There's things that we do. He's not the president. So he won't get the same level, even if there's excruciatingly credible threats that say on this day and on this time, I know that this is going to happen. We just don't put him there. So we stop the threat before it even happens, because I'm not going to put my protectee in that position.
If these are the resources, this is the amount of resources that you have here, and you know there's more of a credible threat, like to your point, yeah, just don't put him there. If you're not going to get any extra,
the standoff distance becomes much different.
Right.
Because right after 9/11, we did this, like right after 9/11, after every time we would do a threat con, all of the bollards and all the K barriers will go out in front of the government buildings, because we have the standoff distances, because we believe that there's a new threat. So we want to create a better assessment, a better situation based off of threat, providing the assets that we can on the ground. All right, here we go.
That we had.
That's not my question.
And the venue.
My question is, if he'd been the sitting president, would he have had the same security he had on July 13th, or would have been beefed up?
There is a difference between the sitting president.
So your answer is he didn't.
And continuity of government and the responsibility
So he
that we
did
have.
not. Okay, there wasn't a CAT team, a full CAT team on site. There wasn't counter surveillance teams on site. But this is the thing. You just said you had the ability to beef up the security. You knew about the threat, and you didn't. And that's as telling as it is chilling. We have satellite images from the Butler Fairgrounds. Have you visited the site?
No, I have not.
I love this.
This is incredible. She is the director of the Secret Service, and someone tried to assassinate the leading contender for president of the United States. Those are all factual things that we just want to make sure that they are crystal clear. She is the director of the Secret Service, responsible for protecting the president of the United States and the presumed next president of the United States, or a candidate at least. They are afforded Secret Service protection. RFK just got protection because of this incident. So she is the boss. Someone tried to take out someone.
9 days and you have not visited the site. You should have been there that night. Did you talk to, that evening, did you talk to the team, the heroes that surrounded the president? Did you call them that night?
They were still operational work.
So that's an answer is no. Did you call them the next day?
President. Yes, I spoke with.
You called them the very next day, not the day of, or was it 72 hours after?
I don't know the timeline, but I spoke with
Okay,
them
because you're under oath.
immediately
I
following.
think it was 72 hours after. You waited 3 days. What is immediately clear is that there are a number of structures that need to be secured. Of these, Director, other than the first, immediate 4, what's the most dangerous site that should have been secured? Because security 101, you got to mitigate the high ground.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the next most dangerous site? What was the closest structure to the president, other than the 4 immediate ones that you had your counter sniper teams on?
There are a number of structures around that event site.
You know who the shooter knew? The shooter has visited the site 2 more times than you have, and he had a drone, and he picked the AGR building. So you said, do you remember in an ABC interview you did that you didn't have people on the roof of the AGR building because you were worried about safety because of the slope?
This is amazing.
I recall that statement.
Okay. Does the Secret Service have written policy you can share with us about slope roofs?
No.
Okay. So why'd you act like there was one? Because is it your practice to comment on enormous events of enormous national implications when you're ignorant of the facts?
So what he's talking about is she did an interview with the news. So she's not been to the actual site, the crime scene, but she's done a news interview before she's gave anything to Congress, before they comply or they followed through with any of the subpoena requests that have been sent their way. The FOIA requests that they keep saying is, nope, you can't have it. We're not going to talk to you unless you're MSNBC or whoever she talked to. But that, are you serious? This is the Secret Service. The boss of the Secret Service can go out on the mainstream media news and talk about things like she knows what she's talking about, but in front of Congress a couple of days later,
can't say
having problems answering very, very simple questions.
That's rhetorical. So here's this thing with the slopes. You go all up to like 1812. You can go to a 112, which is about as flat as you can get without it being completely flat. And you're saying that there was a danger, safety concern there. But the problem is, Director, you put your counter snipers on a 312 roof, which is steeper than the 112. And by the way, the 112 is ADA compliant. You can build a ramp for a wheelchair on a 112 roof. So these are nothing but pathetic excuses, and they make no sense, and they're a bunch of cow dung. All the law enforcement I've spoken with over the last 9 days are amazed that the AGR rooftop was not secure. And you want to know why? Because it's dangerous. I have never had any long gun training in my life.
This is amazing.
Yes.
For anybody that has any questions about military training or anything like that, this next exchange here, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I want to give a shout out to Brandon Herrera, Donut, and they did an amazing. Brandon was on Brandon's video. Donut was there. A bunch of other people were there. Go watch their video. They recreated this with high-speed ballistics and high-speed cameras. They showed you from the shooter's position, the distance that he would have been, what he would have seen through his sight to show how much of a, I can't get over how much of a miracle, literally, it's a miracle. This to this, this to this, this to that, that's all it is. And for those of you listening, I'm moving my head. I'm looking to the left, straight ahead, looking to the left, straight ahead, looking to the left. I'm alive, straight ahead. I am no longer here. That's amazing.
Facts.
But if you're wondering, here.
I own an AR-15, and last time I shot it one time my whole life. It was 6 years ago. That is until Saturday, where we recreated the events in Savoy, Texas, where we recreated what happened in Butler. I was lying prone on a sloped roof at 130 yards at 6:30 at night. And I knew that he had a scope. I didn't know what kind, red dot or magnified. So I shot 8 rounds from both. You know what the result was? 15 out of 16 kill shots. And the one I missed would have hit the president's ear. That's a 94% success rate. And that shooter was a better shot than me. It is a miracle President Trump wasn't killed. Corey Comparator's life is over because that damn shooter made it on the roof. And it wasn't the roof that was dangerous. It was the nut job on top of the roof. You know what else is dangerous? I believe your horrifying ineptitude and your lack of skilled leadership is a disgrace. Your obfuscating today is shameful. And you should be fired immediately and go back to Garden Doritos. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
If that's not a mic drop, I'm done.
Go back to that is a t-shirt idea. Go back to guarding Doritos with just her face on it. Someone, Red Pill Threads, if you're listening, that's a shirt. That's an awesome shirt. I want that shirt.
You wouldn't have that type of reaction. And again, I'll go back to the fact that, well, we have to wait for the investigation to be thoroughly done. You're the director and you have these answers. You have these answers and your bosses are asking for them. And when you come in and just say, well, I don't have that information at this time, I'll have to go back and look. No, you had plenty of time. And the fact that Representative Mace completely blew her up. And she
was amazing.
Said that, you're full of shit in the middle of the hearing. The fact that you have, she came with no answers. None. Zero.
None. You know what? She's going to have a hard time when she gets back to the hotel.
How much money
have
you looked at that?
I don't know, but she should be able to afford one of these things we're going to talk about because it would help her sleep at night if she slept on a ghost bed. Ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Sleep so good, it's scary. Ghostbed has been a proud sponsor of Feather Stop since day one. Since before I was here, since before Kiefer was here, since before any of us here, but it was just Mike and Eric. They've been here and they've stuck through till the end. When no one else said that they would sponsor a pro law enforcement, pro first responder show, first responder show, Ghostbed said, fam, we got you. Ghostbed, they have been a long-standing supporter. Usually Eric does all these ad reads, so if it sounds like it's a little weird, he does these so natural. I'm usually back behind the scenes, poking all the buttons and making sure all this stuff comes up on the screen. But ghostbed.com/Wolfpack will get you 50% off your first order, or 50% off your order with Ghostbed. Eric I swear, cannot stop talking about Ghostbed. Anybody, Anthony's talking about his Ghostbed, the Ghostbed pillows. You know what's better than the cool side of the pillow? Always having the cool side of the pillow. When it starts to get a little bit warm, flip it on the other side. But you don't even have to worry about flipping on the other side because they have the cooling technology that always keeps you cool. The massage topper. If we don't have a human resources at One More and I'm Out Here, or when at Fair to Stop, or One More and I'm Out Here, but we should, because of the inappropriate things that Eric's texted me while he's on his massage topper. Mm-hmm. I can't say him. I can't even show him. Maybe we'll talk about it on Patreon, but even then, I can't. I need to send my phone to church. Ghostbed has been there since day one. Loyal sponsor does. Go ahead and go over to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Use code Wolfpack to get 50% off your first order. And then when you wake up, you got to have a good meal. The only way to get a good meal is go to factormeals.com, Factor75, use promo code Wolfpack, get 50% off your first order. These are delicious. I am an excruciatingly picky eater, especially with my diet, with all the health issues that I have. And even I eat some of this stuff. It's fresh, never frozen, comes right to your front door. They've got blue cheese filet mignon with curry, celery root mashed, and rotisserie broccoli. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything all day. And doing this ad read, I am getting even more hungrier that I'm going to be able to go to a Factor Meals out of the refrigerator because they're never frozen. They're fresh, never frozen. Just throw it in a microwave. I live in an apartment complex. We're looking to buy a house maybe. This apartment complex has a microwave that, even though when we moved in here, we were the first ones, we have rode that thing hard and put it away wet. But that microwave will still warm these up. 2 minutes, that's all you need. They've got the breakfast stuff. They've got the smoothies. I cannot say enough good things about the smoothies. Smoothies are delicious. Head over to factor75.com. Use code WOLFPACK for 50% off your first order. And yeah, we can go back to figuring out who's the president of the United States. Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. So
okay.
I pulled it up. Kim Cheadle's net worth is $10 million as of 2024. She earns $280,000 salary from the federal government. I'm trying to figure out how much she made when she was the director of security at PepsiCo. That's what I was looking at while you were ad reading.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She came from Pepsi because guarding soft drinks is the same thing as guarding human life. She's on record more than once, and they have a whole ad read. They have a whole marketing campaign about getting DEI into the Secret Service and having 30% female. I tell you what, Keith, if your house is burning, when the door gets kicked in and there's a fireman standing there, do you care if it's a guy or a girl, or do you care that they're competent and they're able to do their due diligence job to the best of their abilities, potentially keep you alive, save a life?
Yeah, just do the job. That's all I need you to do. Very easy. Very, very easy. Very simple.
So what we're getting at here is, so if you hire someone based off of their gender and discriminate against someone based off their gender, that may be illegal. I don't know. Not only that, I want to say this because I found myself in more recent years, especially with this podcast and all the different things that we research and the things that we find out about and the crazinesses that we find out when we find out about, like, the dude that's the swimmer guy that wants to go and win all the NCAA medals. You're still a dude. I don't care. You weren't that good at swimming for your own sex, so you had to go and beat a bunch of girls. Great job. They're all celebrating second place. They don't give two shits about you and your gold medals, dude. So when I say about the feminist stuff, I found myself more a feminist in these years than I have in any years past. And I say that to say this: there's job applications that you can put in at any job. Okay. And if you go to some of these bust ass jobs that are known historically to be male dominated jobs, in the past 20 years, since I've been an adult male and able to vote and out, since I've been 18 years old, in the last 20 years, there hasn't been a huge influx of women into coal mining, has there? I don't hear about the oil refinery industry celebrating the 30% female occupancy that they have on the oil derrick. Is it because they're not hiring them, or is it because they're not applying? We can push to have this equality question all you want, but you know what? People are heavy, and men are better suited to lift heavy things. Me, as a crippled man in my wheelchair, I'm still able to do things that my wife is not able to do. And she is 1,000%, 100%. I'll drink for Keith. 100%. That's twice I owe you now. More than able-bodied. And there's still things that I can do physically as a male that she can't, because I'm stronger and there's no way that she will beat me. And if I go and I start competing in the women's sports, I, in a wheelchair, probably might set a few records. I don't know. But we have women's sports and men's sports for reasons, and we have these professions for a reason. And yes, There's nothing that says that we are not going to stop the applicants from this. But at the same time, we have minimum standards for a reason. They're the minimum standards. You know what a minimum standard is? How long can you hold your breath? If we put you underwater, what is the minimum that you can hold your breath? Because that's the standard. If I hold you underwater any more than that, you're going to start drowning. That's a minimum standard. We have those in law enforcement. We have those in the firefighting field, EMS. We have those as doctors to get into law school. We have minimum standards for a reason. If we start lowering those standards because we want to make sure that we have some DEI ratio that has more females than we did last year, great. You know what the Secret Service has? Support rules. I'm not saying that all females need to be clerical support rules, but you know what? In my life, how many She-Hulks have you met? In person? Like, no shit. If I were getting into a fight with this chick, she'd hand me my cake. How many?
I can count less than one hand, but I've met a few. I've met a few female firefighters that will run circles around a lot of the males that I know. So I'm all about it to your minimum standards. A lot of people exceed them. If you can do that and you can meet those roles and then move on through the process, perfect. Great. Got it. I just don't know. I don't know enough about Cheadle's background outside of what I've just been looking up. And, like I said, I was on the road, so I didn't have a chance to deal with it. But looking at it, you can be a head of security, and she's passing the buck throughout more of, if we play more of that hearing, she passes the buck, and she was blaming local law enforcement a ton in the very beginning because she's trying to take the heat off because she knows she's fucked. And the thing is, answer the questions that are being asked, because all these questions weren't hard. They were not difficult, intrinsic questions. So I don't understand coming in 9 days after that you don't have at least some. You may not have all the answers, and I get that. She answered hardly fucking any.
Oh, wait, we do have a statement from the Secret Service. In the following days of the attempted assassination of former President Trump, some people have made public statements questioning the presence of women in law enforcement, including the Secret Service. These assertions are baseless and insulting. Well, you know what's baseless is insulting? Watching a chick try to holster her weapon during an active shooter situation. That's also baseless and insulting to everybody else who has met the standard and did their job. Every single day, communities, big and small, across our great country, women are serving in federal, state, local, tribal, territorial, and campus law enforcement. Very true. Not arguing that statement one bit.
Right.
They're highly trained, skilled professionals, not doubting that one bit, who risk their lives on the front lines, the safety of our security of others. Some, I'm not going to doubt that. They're brave and selfless patriots who deserve the gratitude and respect. Also, no question there. We in the United States Department of Homeland Security are the largest law enforcement organization in the federal government. We will, with great pride, focus and devotion to our mission, continue to recruit and retain, elevate women in our law enforcement ranks. The department will be better for it, and our country will be more secure. This statement comes to us a few days after an assassination attempt of the President of the United States. These assertions are baseless and insulting. The crickets are chirping. For those who are wondering where there's the dead air, there's dead air there for a reason. It's not baseless and insulting. Okay. We're asking very simple questions to something that was on live TV that we all can see. We all can do the reverse. I wouldn't be the director of the secret. You fucked up big time. Not only you fucked up big time, you keep fucking up big time. This is what should have happened. Keith, hit me. I will be the Secret Service director. This is probably an hour after the Trump assassination attempt. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? We're good? Does everybody got their mic checks? We're good. Mic, camera, we're rolling. Everybody, CNN, you got this? Got this? MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, J. Keefe News. Okay, we're good. Okay, earlier today, we all seen on TV an assassination attempt against the President of the United States. The Secret Service did what they did. We addressed the threat immediately. We moved our president out of the protected area, and we have launched an investigation to figure out what happened. This is entirely on the Secret Service. We are the people designated to protect President-elect Trump and we did not do our job. And in doing so, we will reflect upon ourselves in this investigation, see what we could have done better, and implement those things in the future to make sure going forward that situations like this never happen again. And at that, I'll just let you guys know that this is an active, ongoing investigation, and I'll answer any questions that I can take.
Director, I have a question.
Keith, go ahead.
I have a question. Were you present during the briefing before the event?
I don't have answers to that as this time. I'm just getting on site. However, I'm talking with our special agent in charge, and this afternoon we will have another press release either this afternoon or tomorrow as soon as we have more information.
I'll treat it just like a congressional hearing. So in a high level protectee, you're not involved in these. Is that what you're saying? Yes or no?
As the director of the Secret Service, no, I am not involved in the day-to-day operations of our protectees. We have designated supervisory special agents that are in charge and are involved with the president and president-elect, vice president, and multiple protectees that we protect around the Washington, D.C. and United States area, that those are the people that are responsible for. As the director, I see the director's job, not essentially a lot of the day-to-day operations. However, I will get the information leading up to what was going on up to this event. I will get information what happened up to the event. After the event, I will give you as much information as I can to dispel any conspiracy theories to make sure that we have all the factual information out there.
I'll stop you there. You're an idiot, and I yield my time.
Okay. That's way better than, hey, it's on local law enforcement. Hey,
right.
They didn't secure the building. Hey,
right.
It's because the roof sloped. Hey, it's because you guys are making fun of the women. Hey, at what point does the director of the place that was supposed to do a job, didn't do the job, held responsible? At Pepsi Cola, if someone came into Pepsi Cola and hacked all of Pepsi Cola's stuff and they got all of their trade secrets and found out that the Pepsi cocaine or whatever they put in there to make Pepsi so great, they leaked that information and got it out there. Do you not think the person that's in charge of overseeing all of that might lose their job?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's your job. The people who she needs to come out as the director and a unified front with whoever the special agent was in charge of the event. We don't know who was in charge of the event. They're not going to give out numbers. They will never give out numbers. We'll never know an exact number of the amount of people that were there. And that's something that will be, that's a card that's held close to your chest. Until we're to a point where we no longer have a functioning government, we can start opening up our state secrets and that stuff, because at that point we don't have no problem with it. But there are some bits about this that they're going to keep those cards close to their chest. And if it was something, the building was so close, that's the problem.
Yes,
if it was a building that was
exactly
so
what
far
I was going
out,
to say. I don't need to know exactly how many people you had, because as you said in the mock interview, you have people in charge of that, right? But you need to figure out who your people that were in charge, that with the sloped roof, that's too dangerous or whatever. And I just had to pull up another picture for me so I could look at it just to put it in perspective.
Is it this similar one? No, that's not this one. I'm trying to find the one to see if I put it in here, because I'm using graphics from last week and some from this week, because there was a good one that had it looked like the Pac-Man. I call it the Pac-Man graphic, and a lot of people call it the Pac-Man graphic because it literally looks like Pac-Man with his mouth open. It shows the whole big circle around, and then this one little spot where there's a building with a really bad sloped handicap roof, and that's where this person was at. We're hearing that this person was seen an hour before, 30 minutes before. Like the amount of information that's coming out versus what's being put out as an official statement versus what's being put out through whistleblowers, because the amount of information that's being put out through whistleblowers, that's the thing. It completely contradicts what they're saying. So you want me to believe this until somebody comes out and with the facts, the evidence, the receipts, every bit of it contradicts what you have to say. And you want me to continue to believe that?
It's frustrating because we pay these people, right? These people are put into these positions, but to our point earlier, there are check boxes that were checked and people were put in place. And do I think that she's a dumb person? No, I don't. I think she's a very intelligent person. You wouldn't be able to work your way through. You can't fake it that long, right? But some people are just put into places that they just shouldn't be put in. You know, she may have been more of a better mid-level, manager. Whatever their titles are. I don't know what the Secret Service titles are, but she may be better midline versus all the way at the top. Because I don't know that she was asking the right questions. And the reason in the little mock interview that we were fucking around with, the reason I asked that is it is the highest outside of the sitting president, the president-elect. Why is the director not involved in those briefings? They should be.
The amount of threats that they've had, they're saying that there's no threats, and they come out saying that there's a threat from Iran. Here, I'll throw the question that comes to my head: did we watch a coup from the inside, and then are we continuing to watch that same coup from the inside? Because we don't have Joe Biden on camera. We don't have Joe Biden stating anything. We have a statement from someone that says that they're Joe Biden with an underlined signature on a name. The letterhead isn't the same letterhead that usually is used. We've got no one coming out and doing like a speech. He came out, had a speech after Trump got shot, but we got no speech when we're going to bow out. Who's running the country? Like these are, I would say, very simple questions, but they're very, very, very simple questions. And the fact that we're even thinking of them, let alone asking them, if you don't have you don't feel sick to your stomach thinking about, it's just, I wonder where tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, I wonder by the end of the week, what's going to happen.
So,
because go ahead.
I just saw in the comments, Jill Billy said each site should be assessed based on the layout and logistics of the geography, needing coverage along with a threat assessment and determining how many agents are needed to fully protect. So this article that I'm looking at, and it's from CBS, I haven't vetted it, but the headline is, tree may have blocked sniper team's view of Trump rally gunman. So that's the map I'm looking at, right? So guess what? If that tree's there and I'm in charge, guess what? That tree is now gone. That tree is lopped off, so I can see the whole roof line. If that's exactly where you want the stage set up, because whoever organized this event, it's they secured the land, the premises that it is. If this is where you want the stage set up, that tree's got to go. If you want to move the stage, then we will move everything else. We'll move our spots and whatever, and we'll make it work. But if you want it right here, that tree's gone.
To give you an idea of some things that we have done in the past that may or may not continually be done, or may not have been used with the president, may or not be. I'm being very, very vague of what this was used for, but things that are possible when you're dealing with threats for like a protectee, things that they'll do. We'll weld manhole covers to the earth. We will put people on buildings. We will have cars towed. We will have an entire parking lot towed. We will put people sitting on the beach watching an abandoned vehicle got stuck there overnight by some drunk Marines, and someone has to sit on it for 10 hours because the presidential motorcade is going to drive past it once to go to the gym and we'll drive past it to go back home. That's the things that we've done. And understanding that secret, that protective bubble, it's a bubble, it's an onion layer. And I explained this before. That the onion is, there's layers of that onion that you're supposed to see. You're supposed to see those two guys that were on the red building, that the roof was way more sloped. Everybody keeps referencing in the pictures. Those are purposeful. Those are the ones that you're supposed to see. But they've been told, and I've been heard, anywhere between 18 to like the low 20, 25, 26, the amount of sniper teams and counter sniper teams that were on site. The things that you see, there are things that you don't see. In the past, we may or may not have occupied buildings because they were on the route and they had line of sight of a building, or had line of sight of a window, or had line of sight of a door, had line of sight of a corner of a parking lot. We may or may not have occupied buildings. They may or may not, an advanced team may or may not occupy apartments. We might have, let's say in a larger city like New York or something like that, you may or may not have people in buildings that are set back off the building. So inside of the rooms, and they have a very, very, very limited scope of responsibility, but you have overlapping fields of fire to make sure that you've got all the coverage. You got the amount of coverage that you need, but there are things that you're specifically supposed to see, and there's things that you're not. Mm-hmm. That's a roof with a direct line of sight of where he was speaking. I don't care.
In a farm field.
I don't care if you need to put a fan up there, get someone with a Camelback, trade them out a couple times, give them breaks every 30 minutes because they're saying it was too sloped. They're saying it was too hot. It was non-secured. It was secured. I don't care. There was supposed to be, should have been people there, and they weren't. And instead of the people that were supposed to be there, a shooter was there. And now we have all of these other questions. Was the gun there before? Because there's no video of him running up with the gun in the hand. There's no video of him running up with a ladder in the hand. Was it there before? How long before? How long was the sweep done? Where was the security sweep done to? How far was the EOD sweep out to? Where was the lines? Where was the neutral lines? Where was the green zone that you couldn't go in and out of unless you had been checked? We set these zones up. So here's something that does happen at venues and things like that. When you have people, they'll take EOD dogs, explosive ordnance detection canines. They'll have a whole team, multiple dogs, because it's usually a large area and you can't have one dog do it all. They'll have the entire area cordoned off. They'll pull people out of the area. The dogs will sweep the area for explosive devices and materials and things like that. After that, that's a neutral. That's a vanilla site. It's a safe site. No one goes in. It's clean. The only way you get in and out of there is if you go through a vetted entry point. So now we have, where was this weapon at? Where was this ladder at? Did this guy have a drone up? We talked about the drones. They have temporary flight restrictions. The FAA puts out these big bubbles in the air and you can't fly anything. How? These are very simple questions that everybody's asking. They want to know how. And instead of how, these assertions are baseless and insulting. To be questioning the presence of women in law enforcement, including United States Secret Service. Sorry, I had to read a quote. It's ridiculous.
The job wasn't done. It wasn't done correctly. No. Wasn't done efficiently. And here's the thing.
One way or another.
You can't get through TSA to fly with more than 3 ounces of fucking liquid. But yet this guy had enough access and a clear shot, supposedly outside of the tree, this tree. But obviously he got a shot off. Should have never happened. Should have never happened.
Nope.
And these are the people that are running our fucking country right now.
Because here's the thing. Here's where my mind goes with this. We've just now on a massive stage showed that when shit hits the fan, we just stand there and take it in the face. So if you are an adversary of the United States, if you want a test run of what would happen, pull up the video from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. And if you think that, that you're being hyperbolic, you're going too far. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people on this globe that still don't like America just because we're America. And if they have an opportunity to harm America, harm Americans, they will seize that opportunity at any time possible.
There's a lot more people that are smarter than some kid in Butler, Pennsylvania laying on a roof. Way better too. That shot wouldn't have missed.
Yep. JHN 3.32. Sorry, just joining now. Not sure if you covered it, but we're doing a little research. Biden's strange disappearance in Vegas. Yeah, we had that up first. I would say first. It was earlier, by maybe 20 minutes or so into it. We pulled up the Charlie Kirk tweet and we were talking about he's not been seen. We don't know where he's at. We put out this statement. Maybe it's a signature. Maybe it's not a signature. Yeah. So what you got anything coming up this week? I know you got sports on Thursday.
Yeah, we got Illegal Shift on Thursday. I've got one more and I'm out of here that I was gonna talk to you about. Very, very interesting. One of the guys that's in my bike club, he is a chief of police. I don't know how he does all this stuff, but used to work for an agency, and he went over to Vietnam with connections and has brought home 4 sets of remains that have been sitting in Vietnam, since the 60s, and nobody's talking about it. So he's giving us firsthand. He's emailing me pictures for B-roll stuff. It's going to be phenomenal. So
this fellow needs recognized.
That's Wednesday. He also went over to Normandy and has pulled World War II remains. So that's going to be Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern live. And I am super, super excited. He sought me out to do this, so which I thought that was very cool.
It's in my magic notebook, and now I will remember it forever. So we have Wednesday. We'll have last call with myself and Eric. He'll be back, and we'll be able to talk about this, and I will be able to go way more in depth into some of the graphics and things that we pulled, and a couple of feelers that we got out there, because we're hearing a lot of things. I'm hearing a lot of things, and we want to make sure that we fact check and write it down. So I would say Laura illuminating you, but I want to make sure that when we bring you like, hey, we got something, it's actually something.
Right.
So we got last call on Wednesday, illegal shift on Thursday. Hey, I can't wait for you guys to talk about all the baseball guys, their new fight. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
When they came out with the Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, I was out. Like, I don't do sports to begin with, professional sports, just for I don't. When you're in high school, you're playing really hard to try to get in college, and we're getting to college, you're trying really hard to get into the NFL or an NBA or whatever. And once you get to that point, you're just a crybaby bitch that gets paid way too much money to play with a ball. So at that point, I don't care, because you'll become someone like LeBron James who shits on cops and then has police protection. Fuck yourself. So I don't do sports, but I can get behind some fight stuff. And then Friday, we'll have a big case breakdown. I think, because we had a guest last week, we had a case that we were going to do. I think what we're going to do, if you guys haven't seen this video, it's crazy. And I'm not saying that we're going to do it because I'm the resident cripple around here, but we may do it because I'm the resident cripple. And there's a quadriplegic that assaults police officers from his wheelchair while getting into it with his mom. I think that might be the case that we're going to break down on Friday. God, that one.
Resident
20 minutes
expert.
of fun. Yep. And well, I got to use I don't have his fun wheelchair. I got to use my actual muscles to move mine. He's got the fancy, he's got the bougie. I have the 1992 Toyota Corolla with 3 doors that don't match and 1 hubcap wheelchair. He's got the Lexus with the reclining seats that have the air that shoot up and tickle your balls when you're driving. Different wheelchairs. There's different levels of coolness when it comes to that. But I think that's what we're doing Friday.
That's going to be fun.
And then we'll see what happens over the weekend, and we'll be back here next week. Tansy will be back next week. Margaret will be back next week. Jay will be back next week. All the regular crew will be back here next week, and I'll still be pushing buttons behind the scenes. Jake, Keith, do you have anything else?
No, I appreciate you throwing the offer out to come in and sub. That's big shoes to fill, but I think we had fun. It was a good one.
I appreciate you picking up the offer, because if not, it'd just been me sitting here going, I don't know what to do with my hands for an hour. So from myself, from Keith, from one more, and I'm out of here. We've got Anti-Hero Podcast. Oh, they had a big one that they dropped today talking about the Pat Tillman incident, because you guys don't understand who he is. He's an NFL player that came back with Special Forces, got killed overseas, and then there was a whole big cover-up with that. They do 2 hours into that. I'm like 25 minutes into that. I can't wait to get to the bottom of that. Rad Kids Clubs, they're dropping new videos every week. If you're a skateboarder or you got little kids and stuff like that, or if you just got kids and you want some content that's not going to be fuck shit, fuck balls, dildo, fucking killed, murdered babies. If you don't want that, Rad Kids Club is definitely that, because it's definitely suitable for children. It's from Children for Children. It's Eric's kids. They're sponsored skateboarders. They're skateboarding, and they did some wakeboarding with a professional wakeboarder. His oldest hit the stairs at one of the colleges. I swear to God, it's like a 3-story building. Every time I watched him go down and he would fall, I was like, in my head, I'm going, oh God, he's going to be like me. But then he lands it And I'm like, God, he's definitely not like me. He's way better than I am. So hit like and subscribe. He has a 5-star rating review on iTunes and Spotify. If you don't want to do anything else, if you don't want to like and subscribe on here on YouTube or any place else, that helps us the most. 5-star rating review. We haven't had a whole bunch of new ones to read from a while. So if you put them in there, I'll get on Eric to try to make sure that he pulls them this week, and we'll have them for next week, and you guys can pull them. So if you guys got some really funny reviews that you want to put in there, you want to talk about all the inappropriate things that you do on your ghost bed while you're eating your factory meals, put them in a 5-star rating review. Keith, good?
Yep. We are fantastic. Right. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Deadleg, it's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. We'll see you. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Guts up. Giddy up.
I guess I actually have to push the button.